Hello, Radu.
Hello.
Congratulations on the movie.
Thank you.
I had a great time. Tell me a little, how important was it for you to get the recognition at the Berlin Film Festival?
Yeah, first of all, I also say hello to Austin Steele. I don't see him or her, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the first guy who appears in the film is a porn actor, and his name is Steele. I mean, nickname Stefan Steele. Like, of course, but it's still without E at the end.
Yeah.
So Austin Steele could be like that. I made this association. Well, regarding the prize in Berlin, what can I say? Like that manager or trainer of a football team used to say, I read about a guy like that who used to give one day for his football team to celebrate if it was a victory, and one day to cry and be unhappy if it was not a failure. And then they were not allowed to think of that. So I believe there's some truth in that, and I think there's a lot of healthy attitude into that. So I was happy for many days because of this award, and now I resume back to work. But of course, I still can appreciate the fact that the jury chosen a film which is a little bit more experimental than the more traditional films around. And it's very good for the career of the film, I think, and it's very good. And I'm happy for all the crew and all the cast. I think for them, it means something. And I'm extremely grateful that it happened like that. But on the other hand, let's not forget that it's just a kind of, well, a recognition like that is something interesting, important in a way. But on the other hand, it shouldn't be, for instance, me as a reader of books or somebody who watches films, I never took into consideration in the decision to watch a certain film the awards that he got. I never say I want to see this film because it got an Oscar. I try to find something else to interest me or to kick it out.
Yeah. Why did you decide to explore the right? I think you are exploring the right of intimacy and privacy and the stupidity of the social reaction towards things that we do.
Well, I think it was how should I say? It was a desire to speak about that, because, and I actually that was becoming obvious, I think, when the pandemic started, and when most of our lives, or bigger parts of our lives, like look at us now, started to be on this weird space, the online space, which doesn't have borders, doesn't have very clear rules, doesn't have an ontological status very clear. So all of a sudden you feel that this becomes an important theme in a way. I didn't give any solutions around that situation. I cannot say we should live in this way or in another way. I'm just saying that, and that's how I try to point in the film, that this that this can create a kind of problem, and the film can be made around this. A film is possible around this situation, exploring it in a, let's say, more complex way, not only the story, but also the connections between the story and the society at large, so to speak.
In a way, society destroys her life, or not her life, but her job, her living, without giving away. I mean, I think that she should be able to work, because who cares what she does at home, right?
I believe it like that, but there were a lot of people, and actually this was the starting point of the film. We discussed with some friends regarding that topic, which was presented in some tabloid in newspapers. And all of a sudden, I think we were 5 or 6 or 7, I don't remember. And all of a sudden, we were split in half. Part of us said, like you, part of us said no. And then actually for 3 hours, we discussed only that. And we ended up being quite aggressive with each other. So it was really something like a hot potato, you know. And then a few weeks after, I was telling somebody else the story exactly like with you here. And all of a sudden, it created the same effect. So I was very angry and I said, you know what, I'm going to make a film on that and you cannot compete with me. So that's my final answer.
It's a topic that brings passion out there.
Exactly. So I said, well, maybe, we should, maybe one can make a film about that.
Yeah, I thought, I love the aspect, the fact that you decided to do chapters of the film and put them together in different perspectives. Like there's one that is when Amy is going through the headmaster house, it's like a tribute to Bucharest. You want to show us how daily life is there and how isolated they are from Amy's program in a way, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's one thing. And there's another thing which is, I think, to see, because what is a city? Here the language is playing tricks on us. We say a city, but a city doesn't exist. It's an abstraction. The city is a community of people with buildings, with streets, with parks, with cars, with shops. That's a city. So I wanted to see what's exactly how it is composed, this city that we live in, that I live in, that where the film is placed, and to see what are the values into it, just exploring it, just making this, advancing a little bit the story, but in the same time showing it. You said like it is a homage, or what did you say? What is the word you use?
Like a tribute to Bucharest and their
tribute,
daily life.
I think it's an anti-tribute. It's an anti-symphony of a city, you know.
Well, because you're showing it situations that are very aggressive, very edgy. Yeah, maybe it's the contrary of a tribute.
Yeah, it's
a rejection.
Yeah.
And then the historical aspects of the film, I think, is the second chapter. In which you go through history. We see Ceausescu. Can you talk a little about the legacy of is the image of Ceausescu in the horrors still exist?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that second part is a combination of literary quotes with images, with sounds, with a lot of other things, archive images, archive sounds, so on and so forth, quotations, old or new. And some of them are connected with the story or with the characters or with the theme of the film. Some are only loosely connected and some are not connected at all. It's like a poetry direction. It's a kind of a poetical idea into that. Now we are, of course, it is a film about contemporary times, but being contemporary also means that we are around us are traces of history. Whatever we look around, it's for instance, I have here a book which is a very old book. I don't know, it's from the 80s or something like that. It's already a historical document, a historical artifact. We are all these artifacts are around us. The history is around us. So I wanted to, and it has still effects on our lives. And of course, there is a legacy of Ceausescu regime in Bucharest and in the whole country, probably less and less powerful. But there's also a legacy which is I spoke about that legacy in my previous films, like I Do Not Care If We
Right.
Go Down in History as Barbarians. Here are only some hints. There's a lot of traces to the fascist past of Romania, which is not clear as the communist dictatorship was, in a way. I mean, that fascist past remained still around and reappeared, ideas from it reappeared in another form. So it's quite these things as well there. It's these traces of what is around. So I wanted to create the context there, ideological context, philosophical context, historical context in a way. Yeah. So and also to
Yeah.
use it in a creative way or artistical way. I don't know.